Hey everybody, how you doing tonight? And I hope you watch this. This might be kind of an interesting podcast. The topic being the Constitution, Trump, and the Army Navy game, which is Saturday. Big game. Each year for the Army Navy game, both Army and Navy, they have designed special uniforms, and in the case of Army, each year they honor one of the Army divisions. This year, it's the first Armor Division, Old Ironsides, and they have all this new gear made, and of course I had to get mine right away. And you'll see over there helmets from past years, so at any rate, it's a big deal. If you want to go online, and you can see all the new the Army uniform for this year's Army Navy game, and you can buy all the swag that you could imagine. So. The Army Navy game is an amazing experience. Watch it on TV Saturday. The football is old time option football, run. Both teams play that way. So it's not the exciting throw the ball around the field, but the academies do that, because it's difficult to recruit athletes to the academies that want to go play pro sports, but that's a whole nother topic. The other thing I should tell you is, in a few years, I forget, I should have checked, but in 2 or 3 years, the Army Navy game is coming to Gillette Stadium. And so get your tickets, go see it. It is an amazing spectacle. So it'll be in New England in a few years, and as far as a sports event goes, it's unlike anything you've ever been to. I can just tell you, I've been to Super Bowls, I've been to all the major college bowls, and there's nothing like the Army Navy game. To be around, first of all, the entire Corps of Cadets and the entire brigade of midshipmen attend the game. There's that march on at the beginning, where the Corps of Cadets marches on, the brigade of midshipmen march on. Those wonderful young women and men who are serving our country. It really gives you the chills. And then there's, of course, many military personnel attending the game. They usually have various exhibits outside of the game with military equipment, but it is an amazing experience. You will have the chills, you'll shed a tear. So when it's in New England, Granite Staters, get your tickets, go to the game. Now, the thing that I've been reflecting on with Trump's statement, and I'll get to that in a minute, about maybe terminating provisions of the Constitution, and I'm reflecting on the Army Navy game, is you see those wonderful young men and women who voluntarily went to the Naval Academy, voluntarily went to West Point, and all those young people took an oath. And anyone who's served in the military has taken an oath, and part of that oath is to defend the Constitution. And I took that oath when I went to West Point and I served in the Army. And those who have taken the oath take it very, very, very seriously. And those young people, that are attending Navy and attending West Point, they take that oath very seriously. I can tell you not only from my own experience, but as many of you know, my two sons both attended and graduated from West Point and are now serving in the United States Army. My son Max in Europe right now, and my son Thomas in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. And I can tell you, they take that oath very, very seriously. And to defend the Constitution. And these are amazing young people. You know, in this day and age, you know, if you're around these young people, and I go to almost all the Army home games. You may know I'm chairman of the board of the Army West Point Athletic Department. So I'm around a lot, and I'm around these young people a lot, and they are amazing. In fact, what I'll tell you is one of the games I went to, I forgot which football game, but that night was the Army-Navy women's volleyball game, and it was electric there, and Army won. But these young people are amazing, and they take the oath to defend the Constitution very, very seriously. And, you know, and to have a former president, President Trump, to say, and I'm going to read what he said, and this was all coming out of, you know, Twitter and Elon Musk, you know, releasing the information about the Hunter Biden laptop story being suppressed, you know, which was wrong, awful, terrible. I mean, no question there. And one of Trump's reactions to that was, and he made this statement, you know, that a massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. Even those found in the Constitution. And I mean, it's, and everyone's saying Trump's crazy and you know, criticizing him for it, and he should be criticized. It's awful for him to say that. It dishonors, you know, those young people who are playing in the Army-Navy game this week, and all young people serving in the military, in any branch. It really dishonors them. But but we got to defend the Constitution no matter what. Now, I'm going to put a little different spin on this. You know, I don't think Trump is crazy or stupid. I think he's an egomaniac and a narcissist and all that, but he's not, you know, crazy and stupid at this point. But here's the thing, and I think I hope everyone kind of thinks about this and looks at it from this perspective, that you know, he announced that he's running for president again. I mean, he teased that announcement the night before the midterm elections, which was, in my opinion, I talked about this before, just an awful thing to do, to take the focus off the candidates and put it on himself. And then he did the formal announcement a week later. You know, but since then he hasn't done much. So I think when he makes these kinds of statements, you know, I think he sees how crazy and bizarre it is for him to say something like that. And I think he does it to get attention. I think he does it to have the media talk about him. Everybody talked about this. All the cable news networks, all the network news talked about this statement. You know, and it got him earned media. He's out there being talked about, and then he came out with a statement that the fake news, you know, wasn't reporting it properly. You the statement's pretty clear, but he does this stuff to get attention. He does this stuff to try to remain relevant, even if it's crazy stuff, and politicians will say anytime you're in the news, it's a good thing, no matter if it's good news or bad news, because your name's getting out there, people are talking about you, and you're staying relevant. And Trump, if you think about his history, I mean, that's kind of how he won in 2016, by saying some really bizarre things, calling people's names, all that. So it's worked for him, so don't. I mean, you can go down a rabbit hole and say he's crazy and this and that, and personally, I think Trump needs to just go away. He's bad for the Republican Party, and I want to talk about that in a minute. But try to think of it from the perspective that it allows him to stay relevant in the media. Even if it's for something crazy like this, it allows him to stay relevant in the media. And he's got to take attention off of some other things that's happened. And when you look at the midterm elections, Trump's, and I know he touts that he has such a high percentage of his endorsees winning, and as I mentioned before, that's easy to do. I mean, I could go and endorse all the slam dunk winners in the Republican Party and have 100%. But look at what's happened in the Senate now. I mean, Herschel Walker lost last night. So in this midterm election, we Republicans lost the Senate seat. We went from 50 to 49. We lost the Senate seat. Think about that. And why and how could that happen? And I call, when you think about Herschel Walker, a Trump person, Adam Laxalt, a Trump person, Mehmet Oz in Pennsylvania, a Trump person, Blake Masters in Arizona, Trump, and Don Bolduc in New Hampshire. Those five, one was a hold in Pennsylvania. We lost that seat. The other four were potential pickup opportunities, all lost. You know what I call those five people? Trump's dream team. That's Trump's dream team. Oz, Bolduc, Walker, Masters, and Laxalt. That's his dream team. And he lost them all. He lost them all. And I don't think Trump cares. I don't think he cares. He wants to be Trump and do his thing. And as I said before, this is the second time that Trump caused Republicans to lose the U.S. Senate in 2020, when he was whining about, losing the election and it was stolen and all that stuff that kept the turnout down in Georgia, and we lost 2 Senate seats. We lost control of the Senate in 2020, and same thing this time. He's out with all the election denying stuff, and what was supposed to be a red wave turned out to be a slight victory in the House of Representatives, where we get control and we lose the Senate. Just an awful situation, and it makes Joe Biden, look powerful, and it's just a really bad situation, for the Republican Party, and we need to step back and reevaluate, we Republicans and conservatives, what we need to do differently to win these elections. It's a real problem. And I was gonna mention something else about the Senate elections and Trump, and I lost the thought. Maybe it'll come back to me. So So you know, I urge everybody just to, thank Donald Trump for the America First agenda. As I've said many, many times, I think those policies, most of them are really good for America. But the person Trump is hurting that agenda, and I think it's time for him to move on. And I think it's time for us to focus on the future of the Republican Party and who are the leaders in the future that can take this country to a better place than it is right now. So we have some great potential candidates, and I don't know no one else has announced but Trump, and but there'll be others announcing, and there's some good potential candidates out there, of course, DeSantis and Pompeo and Mike Pence and others. And here's the thing, here's a way to look at this midterm election. And someone said this to me the other day, and I'm not going to say who, because quite frankly, the person that said it to me is a potential presidential candidate, but I don't want to take credit for it. This person said to me, inflation as an election issue, a midterm election issue, has never, ever lost. So, in other words, the party in power have never won a midterm election when there's been high inflation. Never happens, except now. And the reason is, this whole notion of threat to democracy, which is how the Democrats message this election denial stuff, and the election was stolen. So they created this issue, threat to democracy. The mega MAGAs are a threat to democracy. That issue that the Democrats messaged effectively beat inflation in this midterm election. Think about that. And we as Republicans need to step back and reflect and say, wait a minute. So all this stuff with, the election was stolen and election denialism and all that as a threat to democracy in this midterm election, that issue, which in my opinion really isn't an issue. Trump's going to go away. We conservative Republicans believe in the Constitution and democracy. I think but it's a manufactured issue that beat inflation. It's an amazing political accomplishment when you think about it. I think there's other factors like Trump's dream team in the U.S. Senate. Bolduc, Oz, Walker, Laxalt, Masters, pretty bad candidates. Oz, articulate, smart. I don't want to go through them all, but the Democrats, by messaging threat to democracy, beat the burden of high inflation, and it's an amazing thing. So I think all this stuff, this talk about terminating articles, regulation, rules, even those found in the Constitution, is an absolute insult to these fine young people who are going to be playing in the Army-Navy game. It's an absolute insult, for those folks who have volunteered to serve the country and took the oath to defend the Constitution. For a former president to come out and say something like that is a real insult to those young people and those young people playing in the game Saturday, and all the young women and men that are serving, who will attend the game and watch the game. It's a real insult. Gerald Yang says, I don't think Dr. Oz did a bad job. I seriously think some voters are stupid. Gerald Yang, you know what? That's where we got to stop. That's where we absolutely have to stop. It's, to think that it's because voters are stupid is, we need to do a better job of communicating to voters. That's what we need to do. And the fact that yes, Fetterman got a question about his competence, which again points out what a bad job Oz did. And he was not able to connect with the voters. Listen, I grew up in Pennsylvania, and when when Oz is has a home in Pennsylvania, when he did that thing, I don't even know how to say it. What is it? Crudités, or whatever. I've never heard the word in my life. But when you're in a grocery store in Pennsylvania and holding up carrots and celery, and you use some fancy word for it, man, I'll tell you, my homeboys back in Altoona, I think they were just shaking their head and said, "Who is this guy? And what is he saying?" So we and listen, Oz would not have won the primary had Trump not endorsed him. Dave McCormick would have won the primary if Trump would have stayed out, and Dave McCormick would have defeated Fetterman. At any rate, watch the Army-Navy game this weekend. It'll be a wonderful event. I will be there. Excited, heading up Friday, and go Army, beat Navy. First Armored Division, Old Ironside, and enjoy the game, and pray for all our young people and serving in the military. And God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you so much.